I'm UFC heavyweight Steve Milicic, and you're listening to Talking Brawls.
Delighted to welcome on to Talking Brawls, MMA.com, Urijah, the California Kid, Faber, who obviously has a huge fight coming up in Manila against Frankie Edgar at UFC Fight Night 66 on the 16th of May in the Philippines. Urijah, first of all, how are you, my friend? How was St. Patrick's Day in Sacramento?
It was good, man. A bunch of green around here, people drinking green beer and celebrating America's Irish heritage. We have quite a bit of out here.
Excellent, good stuff. Urijah, I believe you're just back from Dallas as well. How did you enjoy the fights? Obviously, you know, a big upset in the main event where Rafael dos Anjos took the title from Anthony Showtime Pettis.
Oh man, that was crazy to watch. You know, I've trained with Pettis before, and I've seen him fight so many times, and I just feel like that wasn't him out there. And a big testament to Dos Santos. I mean, he came with a great game plan and very ready, and a whole skill set that just threw Pettis all the way off. So, new champ, man, well deserved. Yeah, looking forward to seeing Pettis get back in there, though.
Definitely. I think I have a feeling it's going to be a year of title changes in the Ultimate Fighting Championships. But, you know, obviously, let's talk about your huge fight coming up for you on May 16th against Frankie Edgar. Has the camp started? You must be very excited, first of all, to be part of that card, because obviously it's the first fight ever in the Philippines for the UFC. You know, they have a huge fighting history with guys like Manny Pacquiao. But just your general thoughts and feelings about, you know, fighting there against Frankie?
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I mean, you know, at this point in my career, I want to do the fights that really count. First card in Manila is going to be huge. Fighting a guy like Frankie is you know, definitely a historic event. You know, something that I can be excited for and get up for sure. But you know, all the way around, it's an exciting thing for me. Definitely,
100% a fight. You know, I think the MMA world can't wait for it. It's an absolutely barn-burning fight on paper. Just talk to me about, I know you're a big fan of Manny Pacquiao as well while we're there, against Floyd Mayweather. It's obviously coming up in May. Who's your money on?
Man, I would love to see Pacquiao's pressure and power and volume catch Floyd, but man, Floyd's got that defense. It's so impeccable. So my heart is with Manny, and I think the fight could go two ways. I think either Manny knocks him out or Floyd gets a decision. Yeah. So I'm hoping for the first option.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be a cracking fight altogether. About time, probably about 8 years too late, but it's still going to be a wonderful occasion. Okay, let's get back to you know, I spoke to you in Stockholm, and you told me you'd mentioned before then that, you know, you were thinking about going to 145, and you mentioned to me in that the video interview that we did, we sat down in the Fighter Hotel, that stylistically you felt as though you matched up better against Conor McGregor, but it was ultimately about big fights for Urijah Faber.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I don't make the fights. I just accept the ones that excite me. So I think I matched it well against Frankie. It's kind of like a mixed bag of tricks. You know, he's got a real strong wrestling background. I've got a strong wrestling background. I feel like in MMA jiu-jitsu, I've got the proven better track record. I think in MMA takedowns, I think he's got a little bit better track record. Both of us like to stand and bang. He's a little more traditional boxing, and I'm kind of a whole mixed up package there when it comes to striking. He's a little bit bigger, but not much. You know, I got to spend some time with him in the Philippines, so it's definitely a good matchup. Yeah. And then the Conor matchup, I think the big advantage for Conor is that he's a big guy for the weight class, but and he's real fluid, and he's got that nasty, powerful stand up. But you know, when it comes to having an advantage in an area, I think my grappling is definitely going to be an advantage point against a guy like Conor.
And Ali Abdelaziz, Frankie's agent, said this was the hardest fight he'd put together. Was that on your side or on Frankie's side? Do you know anything about those comments that he made?
Well, who said that?
Ali Abdelaziz.
You know, I don't know. It wasn't on my side. You know, this was a fight that has almost happened a couple different times, and just because, you know, there's been a desire on both sides from the fans. So I think it almost happened when they had the Ultimate Fighter and BJ Penn at the coaching instead. But I had agreed to go up a weight at that time, and then I think they were trying to talk Frankie into going down at that time.
Yeah.
But we're basically two guys that like to fight, and this one's going to mean a lot.
Definitely, it's a cracking fight. And you mentioned the weight there, Urijah, as well. What does the diet and the training entail? Is it about putting on a little bit more, muscle mass? Because I know you're a guy. I think you walk around about 159, 160 pounds.
Well, now I'm walking around 159, 160. When I start training, I get down to about 154, 155 on a pretty regular basis. I'm trying to stay a little bit heavier for this fight, but I don't want to focus too much on gaining weight. I let my body heal. It'll be almost 6 months since I fought last, and I think that's enough time for my body to just enjoy being able to eat. Feel the power of not having to diet, and then I'll cut down from there and start getting in amazing shape, and feel my weight again. So I might go all the way back down to where I was anyways, or I might have put on a couple pounds. Either way, I don't think it really matters. I want to be fast. I want to be in great shape, because I think those are two things that you have to have when you fight Frankie Edgar.
100%. And is this the biggest fight of your career? Because on paper, I think you mentioned as well during the week that the hype around this fight is the biggest, and I think you even said that it was the biggest fight of your career. Is it the biggest fight of your career?
This fight here?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's the biggest fight of my career. It's hard for me to say right now when looking at fights, as a guy that's actually doing them. I feel like I've had some big fights, so I'll sit back and smell the roses at some other time, I don't know if it's the biggest fight. It's definitely a time in the sport where the first time, in my opinion, where there's been a lot of big names at the lighter weight class.
Yeah.
There's been some names that have stood out throughout the years, guys like BJ Penn and guys like Jens Puller. But now you're starting to see guys that are really established. You got champions that have been on TV for a long time. You got guys that have been champions of different weight classes. I mean, there's really a culture there for the lightweight fighters now. And Frankie, in my opinion, is one of the most iconic guys in the lighter weight classes throughout the last 10 years. So it is a big, big fight, and I look forward to doing all the big fights before I'm done with this sport.
Yeah, everyone seems to be. There's a lot of fighters, either talking about moving to 145 or moving to 145. We even had a debut the other night. A guy who's beaten Conor McGregor in the past is Irishman Joe Duffy. He had a great performance last weekend in Dallas. He's talking about going to 145. Then we've Norman Park in the lightweight division, also Irishman, talking about going to 145. Is it the place to be at the moment, the 145 pound division?
For me, I'd be willing to go up to 130, go down to 135, fight at 145s. I mean, the place for me to be is where the most exciting fights are. So a guy like Conor, who's bringing some attention and is genuinely getting on some of the guys' nerves at 145 pounds, but drawing a lot of attention. That sounds good to me. I know he's mentioned some stuff to my boy and rallied the troops against my boy Shad Mendes before, and I'm always looking for a good fight, man. Yeah. That's for sure.
And is this a number one contenders fight?
It's hard to say. I feel like I'm already wait for a second here in this thing.
They're coming for you, Urijah.
I would say I'm one of the top contenders. Made a case and even had an offer to fight for the belt 135. I'd like to be a top contender at both weight classes for sure.
Yeah. And sorry, what did you say there about the 135 belt? You had an offer to fight for the belt?
Well, I had just kind of like a mediocre offer that, Dana called me at one point. It was like a 25-second conversation and just basically said, hey, what if I told you you're fighting TJ Dillashaw instead of Rafael Assunção in April? And I was like, man, I just wouldn't feel right. And he's like, all right, cool. And then hung up.
Okay.
So, I mean, it was, that was about as far as the conversation went. And after that, the opportunity to fight Frankie came up. So, nothing's ever out of the question completely. But right now, like I said, I want the fights that are monumental.
Yeah, 100%. This is going to be a monumental fight. It's a huge, huge fight on paper. Talking about the featherweights, obviously we have a huge matchup coming out at UFC 189. Do you feel like Conor McGregor deserves that title shot?
Yeah, I've talked about this before. I think he deserves it. The guy doesn't have I don't feel like he's been challenged with a top grappler yet. but it doesn't matter. He's been dominant in the positions he's been put in, and that's the positions he was put in. So I don't think the guy's scared to fight necessarily. I mean, I will say that he has something that guys like me and guys like Frankie and guys like Chad Mendez don't have, and that's the instinct and the ability and the decision to give up when bodily harm is in his way.
Yeah.
That dates back to 2008. He tapped to a knee bar, which, I don't know if you can teach that, and I don't know if you could take that away either.
Yeah.
That's something that's kind of instinctual. So, yeah, guy loves himself, and he's willing to protect himself by tapping. So that's one thing that I think he also got submitted by a choke at some point.
Yeah.
When about a minute was a really tough. Who's the guy who beat him there? The Irish kid.
Joe Duffy.
That guy.
Yeah, he was fighting in Dallas at the weekend.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah.
So I think he's got that with him. He's a very talented guy. He's a very game guy. He loves to fight, but there's a little give in him. So that's yet to be tested in the big stage.
Yeah. And Uriah, the winner of the title fight at UFC 189, surely the winner, of between yourself and Frankie gets a title shot, because Frankie's obviously, coming off that really impressive win against BJ Penn and then Cub Swanson. So surely, from the MMA purist and the fight fan point of view, the winner of this fight is the number one contender, and he's going to get a title shot hopefully by the end of the year. Would you go along with that statement?
I would love to see that.
Definitely. And you talked to me as well in Stockholm that, the McGregor fight is one that you're really, really interested in. Was the thinking of going to 145 anything to do with that, to make that big matchup happen? Because you also said that, you're a shrewd businessman, as we all know. It's about the big fights for Urijah Faber, as you mentioned there, yeah?
I've sort of little Irish stuff going on. I'm actually, I had to fess up. I'm Irish as well. My mom, her maiden name is Leary, cool. And we're Irish American. We're also Italian and Dutch. So I've got a lot of love for the Irish fans that I wouldn't pass up an opportunity for a massive fight. But I've got a big one on my plate first. So my deal is this: I need to have a performance, of my life against a guy like Frankie Edgar, and then I'll take a look at where we're at 35s, where we're at 45s, and what's the biggest fight. But I'd love to do that, and I'd love to go to a different country as well. I'd fight in Ireland. I'd fight in Manila. I'd fight here in California, wherever they want to put me.
Brilliant. So nothing is definite that you're going to stay at 145. You're still going to look at 135 also.
Oh yeah, I'm willing to move all the way around, and I feel like I'm a fortunate guy in the way that I can be not only can I be a contender at 135. I'm a former champion at 145, but I can contend at the latter part of my career in both weight classes and be successful. It's been 12 years and it's stood the test of time, and I'm looking for big fights from here on out.
Yeah, 100%. Where does Urijah Faber win this fight against Frankie Edgar? We know how good you are in all facets, but Frankie's a really good boxer. Is that where you're gonna, are you gonna concentrate on the stand up a lot ahead of this fight?
I'm definitely gonna be standing up, doing a lot of stand up, a lot of ground as well. I don't think Frankie's ever been finished, but he's definitely been rocked. We've seen that time and time again. He's been in some great battles where his chin has been tested and he's been wobbled and recovered, and so he's got a lot of heart, but he's also been through some battles. So I'll be aware of that. Also, I've submitted a lot of guys that have never been submitted, guys that have never been finished before. I'll be looking forward to that, and I think both Frankie and I are known for our gas tanks. I'm a guy that thrives in the latter rounds, and Frankie, that's kind of his deal. Is he's a gas tank kind of guy. So I'll be ready for any battle. I'll be prepared, and I'll be trying to finish from the get go. That's going to be my goal, and I'll take it how I can get it. Do you see this fight going to the championship rounds? I think it will. Yeah, I really do. You're looking at two of the most durable guys in the sport. I think it's going to be into the championship rounds, but I hope not. I hope we can finish it before. There's a huge amount of respect from on Frankie's side for you, and I believe you're the same. You've a lot of respect for Frankie as we've heard in the interview so far.
It might sound silly, but you've never lost a non-title fight, and 13 title fights. I think you fought for the title. Is that a slight advantage? Are you going to take every little advantage in the psychological game going into this fight?
No, you're dealing with guys that aren't going to be deterred by little statistics like that. I don't really think of it like that. It's not anything to do with, it's about the day of the fight and who's in front of you and how you perform. So I don't let little statistics like that bother me or get my morale up or down. It's just this is another fight against a great opponent.
Excellent. And just before we let you go, a couple more questions, Roy. You've been very gracious with your time. Who wins the title fight at UFC 189 in July? I know you've picked Aldo. Are you going to still stick with that?
I think it's going to be a very, very competitive fight. But I've had a lot of confidence in Aldo. I've seen him beat guys like Chad, and I've fought him myself. I've felt the caliber of fighters that he's beat is so impressive, and I definitely say that he's, in my opinion, one of the best pound for pound, if not the best pound for pound fighter in the world right now. So my pick is with Aldo, but not without a nasty battle from old Conor McGregor.
and a matchup for Urijah Faber, a rematch with Jose Aldo. Would you like that?
I'll take I have a real hard time turning down amazing fights, like I said, so I wouldn't turn away.
And you're right. Just another thing. I listened to an interview the other day, and a guy called Ian McCall made some pretty nasty comments about you guys in a Team Alpha Male. He called you a bunch of douchebags and fucking tools, were the words he used. And he wants to get his hands on Joe. What would your response to Ian's comments?
Oh my gosh, that man speaks for himself. I'll just leave it at that.
He's a gas man, a bit of a crazy dude. What you're a shrewd businessman as well, Urijah. What's going on the business side of Urijah Faber's life at the moment? Is there any plans in the working or offing?
Yeah, I've got a bunch of really cool stuff happening, and I've got a dental business that's really cool. We've got a surgery center that we're just started construction on here in Sacramento, and it's its own unique business. But my clothing line, Torque, we're starting to venture into a lot of the X Games stuff, the BMX and the skateboarding and things like that. I'm also working on a little expansion of the gym, so I'm pretty excited about that as well. And always the fight game is good, just in general. So I'm looking for big fights and not afraid to pick them.
Can't wait for the fight on May 16th. It's going to be an absolute cracker, Urijah. Urijah, just one final thing. How do you juggle it all together? How does Urijah Faber multitask so much?
Geez, I mean, just being accustomed to a high-paced life with just enough sleep and a lot of people that I trust and admire surrounding me.
Excellent stuff. Urijah, I really do appreciate the time. It's been great to catch up again, and I really look forward to that fight in May.
All right. Irish fans, don't be deterred. I love you guys, even though I know I've knocked over the beehive a couple times.
Urijah, absolute pleasure as always, my friend.
All right, guys.